Welcome to Worth Coin. Most people spend this coin every single day without giving it a second thought. But what if one ordinary-looking nickel from 1991 could completely change your financial future? Imagine opening an old drawer, finding a forgotten 5-cent coin, and discovering that collectors would compete fiercely to own it. It sounds impossible, yet stories like this have fueled the dreams of coin hunters around the world for decades. Today, we're uncovering the mystery behind the 1991 Jefferson nickel, a coin surrounded by fascinating collecting stories, surprising minting possibilities, and the kind of rumors that keep treasure hunters checking every coin they receive and change. Some collectors have claimed that extraordinary examples of the 1991 Jefferson nickel could be valued at an astonishing $91 million under exceptional circumstances, making it one of the most talked about modern nickels among enthusiasts. Whether that kind of valuation is ever achieved depends on an extraordinary combination of rarity, condition, provenance, and collector demand. But the excitement surrounding this coin is exactly why thousands of people continue searching through jars, drawers, and pocket change every day. And don't go anywhere, because later in this video we'll explore another fascinating nickel that has collectors talking for completely different reasons. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because its story is filled with unexpected twists that every coin collector should know. The 1991 Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a period when millions of nickels entered circulation across the United States. At first glance, it appears completely ordinary. On the obverse, you'll find the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse features his historic home, Monticello. Millions of Americans handled these coins every day while buying groceries, paying for parking, or receiving change at convenience stores. Most people never imagined that a seemingly common nickel could one day become the focus of intense collector attention. Yet history has shown again and again that rarity isn't always obvious at first. Sometimes it takes years, even decades, before collectors identify unusual varieties, remarkable preservation, or unexpected minting anomalies that transform an ordinary coin into a prized collectible. That's exactly what makes searching through old coins so exciting. Every nickel has a story, and every collector hopes to discover one that everyone else overlooked. Imagine a mint employee noticing an unusual striking characteristic, but never realizing its future significance. Imagine rolls of freshly minted nickels leaving the Philadelphia Mint and spreading across the nation, carrying with them tiny differences invisible to the average person. Over time, those differences become the subject of endless discussions among collectors. Some search for unusually sharp strikes where every step of Monticello appears crisp and detailed. Others inspect Jefferson's portrait for exceptional definition, full luster, or nearly flawless surfaces. A coin that survived decades without scratches, corrosion, or heavy circulation naturally becomes far more desirable than one that spent years bouncing around cash registers. Condition plays an enormous role in numismatics, and even a common date coin can become surprisingly valuable if preserved in extraordinary mint state condition. Then there are the minting errors that collectors constantly dream about finding. A dramatic off-center strike instantly catches attention because part of the design is missing while the date remains visible. Double-struck coins display overlapping impressions that create a fascinating appearance unlike any standard nickel. Broad strikes occur when the collar fails to contain the planchet during striking, allowing the coin to spread wider than normal. Die cracks create raised lines that resemble tiny lightning bolts across the surface, while die chips can leave unexpected raised blobs in different locations. Collectors also examine nickels for doubled dies, where portions of the design appear duplicated due to the way the die was created. Although many unusual features are subtle, they can dramatically increase collector interest when authenticated by professional grading services. Another possibility involves planchet errors, where a nickel could have been struck on an incorrect metal blank intended for another denomination. Such mistakes are exceptionally rare and often become highlights of advanced collections because they represent unusual moments in the minting process. Stories of spectacular mint errors continue inspiring collectors to inspect every coin carefully before spending it. The excitement isn't limited to errors alone. Exceptional eye appeal can be equally important. Coins with vibrant, original mint luster often appear almost as though they were struck yesterday, reflecting light with remarkable brilliance. A sharply struck 1991p nickel with minimal contact marks can command significantly greater collector interest than an average circulated example. That's why grading matters so much. Professional grading companies carefully evaluate every detail, assigning numerical grades that help determine market desirability. The difference between an average circulated nickel and a superb gem quality example can be astonishing in the collecting world. Now imagine someone cleaning out their grandparents' attic and discovering an old coin album untouched for decades. Page after page reveals neatly organized nickels preserved since the early 1990s. Among them sits a nearly flawless 1991p Jefferson nickel that escaped circulation entirely. What looked like an ordinary family keepsake suddenly becomes the centerpiece of careful research and professional examination. Moments like these fuel countless stories shared at coin clubs, conventions, and online collector communities. They remind everyone that remarkable discoveries often happen when least expected. Perhaps the coin spent years forgotten inside a dresser drawer or tucked away in a holiday decoration box. Maybe it rested inside a piggy bank that no one opened for 20 years. Treasure doesn't always come from buried chests or ancient shipwrecks. Sometimes it waits quietly inside everyday places that people overlook. That's exactly why experienced collectors encourage everyone to examine their change carefully instead of assuming every modern coin is identical. Every year, stories emerge of surprising finds hidden in ordinary collections. Some discoveries involve overlooked varieties, while others feature beautifully preserved examples that survived against incredible odds. The thrill comes from never knowing what might appear next. Auction excitement adds another layer to the fascination. Whenever an unusually preserved or highly unusual nickel appears for public sale, collectors closely monitor the bidding. Competitive auctions create unforgettable moments as determined buyers push prices higher in pursuit of an exceptional addition to their collections. The combination of rarity, outstanding condition, certification, and historical significance can transform an ordinary-looking coin into the centerpiece of an important collection. Even people who have never collected coins often become captivated after witnessing extraordinary auction results involving seemingly common pocket change. The possibility that history, condition, and rarity can intersect so dramatically keeps the hobby alive generation after generation. Before you assume your spare change has no hidden surprises, take another look at every 1991p Jefferson nickel you encounter. Check the surfaces carefully. Look for unusual striking characteristics, strong details, attractive luster, or anything that appears different from the rest. Compare multiple examples side by side, because subtle differences become easier to recognize with experience. Many successful collectors began with nothing more than curiosity and patience. They learned to slow down, observe carefully, and appreciate the tiny details that others ignored. That's often where remarkable discoveries begin. And remember, this journey isn't over yet. In just a little while we'll uncover another nickel with a completely different mystery. and its story may surprise even longtime collectors. Stay with us because the next coin introduces another fascinating chapter that every treasure hunter should hear before checking another handful of change. You definitely won't want to miss what comes next. The world of rare coins is filled with unexpected discoveries, forgotten collections, and astonishing possibilities that continue inspiring people across generations. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or someone who has never looked closely at a nickel before, every coin offers the chance to learn something new. The next time someone hands you 5 cents in change, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look. That ordinary nickel could have a story stretching back decades. And while most examples remain common circulation pieces, the search itself is part of what makes coin collecting so rewarding. Every collector remembers the excitement of finding something unusual for the very first time. Perhaps your next discovery is already waiting inside your pocket, an old coin jar, or a forgotten family collection. And if you thought the mystery surrounding this 1991 P. Jefferson nickel was remarkable, wait until you see the next coin in our journey, because its story takes an even more unexpected turn that collectors never stop talking about. Next, 1985 P. Jefferson nickel. Have you ever checked your pocket change carefully and wondered if one tiny coin could completely rewrite your future? It may sound unbelievable, but sometimes the coins people overlook every single day become the ones collectors dream about for years. The 1985 P. Jefferson nickel is one of those fascinating pieces that has sparked endless conversations among treasure hunters because hidden among millions of ordinary examples are stories of remarkable discoveries that continue inspiring collectors around the world. Some enthusiasts have claimed that an extraordinary example of this coin could reach an astonishing value of $91 million under exceptional circumstances, making it one of the most talked about modern nickels in collecting circles. But before you decide every 1985 nickel is a fortune, remember that only an incredibly rare combination of outstanding preservation, unusual mint characteristics, authentication, and overwhelming collector demand could ever place a coin into such legendary territory. That mystery is exactly what keeps people searching through old jars, inherited collections, forgotten coin albums, and decades of accumulated pocket change. And stay with us until the very end, because the conclusion of this journey reveals why even experienced collectors never stop examining ordinary-looking nickels. By 1985, the Philadelphia Mint was producing enormous numbers of Jefferson nickels to satisfy the everyday needs of commerce throughout the United States. These coins traveled everywhere, passing through restaurants, grocery stores, vending machines, banks, schools, and family piggy banks. Millions of Americans handled them without giving them a second thought. Children spent them on candy, commuters used them for transit, and families tossed them into kitchen jars where they would remain untouched for years. At first glance, every 1985 P. Jefferson nickel appears almost identical, displaying Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the familiar Monticello building on the reverse. Yet collectors understand that appearances can be deceiving. Sometimes the smallest differences become the most important. A tiny variation in striking quality, a subtle minting anomaly, or decades of flawless preservation can completely separate one coin from millions of others. That possibility is what fuels the excitement of modern coin collecting. Imagine opening an old safe deposit box inherited from a relative who quietly collected coins throughout the 1980s. Inside are carefully labeled rolls that have remained sealed for decades. Among those untouched coins could be an exceptionally preserved 1985 P. Jefferson nickel displaying brilliant original mint luster, razor-sharp details, and almost no contact marks. While most examples circulated heavily, A coin preserved from the day it left the mint tells a very different story. Collectors often describe such pieces as time capsules because they preserve the appearance of the coin exactly as it looked when freshly struck. Finding one in remarkable condition is enough to excite even seasoned numismatists. Then there are the mint errors, which have always fascinated collectors because they represent unusual moments during the manufacturing process. One possibility is an off-center strike, where the design appears shifted because the blank was not perfectly positioned beneath the dies. Another is a dramatic double strike, creating overlapping images that instantly capture attention. Some collectors search tirelessly for doubled dies, where letters, numbers, or design elements appear duplicated due to the creation of the die itself. Others hope to discover die cracks stretching across the coin, like tiny lightning bolts or die chips that leave raised metal in unexpected places. Broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even wrong planchet errors are also among the possibilities that keep collectors examining every nickel with careful attention. While such errors are uncommon, they remind everyone that the minting process is performed on an enormous scale where occasional surprises can occur. Eye appeal also plays a tremendous role in collector demand. A coin with blazing original luster often stands out immediately under proper lighting. The cartwheel effect produced by untouched mint surfaces creates an unmistakable appearance that experienced collectors recognize instantly. Sharp details on Jefferson's hair, crisp lettering, and a well-defined Monticello can make one coin far more desirable than another struck from worn dies. Every tiny mark matters. A single scratch in the wrong location may reduce desirability, while a nearly flawless surface preserved for decades can dramatically increase collector interest. This is why professional grading services spend so much time evaluating every aspect of a coin before assigning its grade. A difference of only 1 or 2 grading points may separate an ordinary collectible from an extraordinary rarity sought after by advanced collectors. Stories of unexpected discoveries continue adding excitement to the hobby. Imagine a family preparing for a move and deciding to empty an old ceramic piggy bank that had been sitting on a shelf since the late 1980s. Hundreds of nickels spill onto the table, and among them sits a bright 1985 P. Jefferson nickel that somehow escaped decades of wear. Curious about its appearance, they compare it with circulated examples and notice remarkable differences. The surfaces remain brilliant, the details unusually sharp, and the coin appears almost untouched by time. That single moment transforms an ordinary afternoon into the beginning of an unforgettable collecting adventure. Whether the coin proves to be exceptionally valuable or simply an outstanding survivor, the thrill of discovery is something every collector remembers. Auction rooms have witnessed remarkable moments whenever exceptional modern coins appear before determined bidders. Certified examples with extraordinary eye appeal often generate intense competition because collectors know how difficult it is to locate pristine coins decades after their release into circulation. Every bid represents another person hoping to secure an exceptional addition to their collection. The excitement builds with each increase until the hammer finally falls, confirming that rarity, quality, and demand have once again combined to create an unforgettable moment in numismatic history. Those stories inspire countless people to begin searching through their own collections, wondering whether they might unknowingly possess something special. The fascination surrounding the 1985 P. Jefferson nickel also comes from its place in American history. It represents an era before digital payments dominated everyday life, when coins constantly changed hands across the country. Every example carries invisible memories of countless transactions, journeys, and owners. Some spent years in cash registers, while others remain protected inside original mint rolls or carefully assembled collections. That blend of history and possibility gives every surviving coin its own unique character. Perhaps one rested quietly inside a family coin album for 40 years. Perhaps another traveled across dozens of states before finally ending up inside a forgotten drawer. Every coin has a journey, even if no one knows the entire story. This is why experienced collectors encourage patience rather than rushing through change. A quick glance may miss something extraordinary, while a careful inspection could reveal an unusual strike, a fascinating error, or an exceptionally preserved example hiding in plain sight. The next time you receive a handful of nickels, slow down and examine each one carefully. Look for unusual details, strong strikes, attractive luster, and anything that appears different from the rest. Compare dates, inspect lettering, and observe the surfaces under good lighting. Many remarkable discoveries begin with nothing more than curiosity and a willingness to pay attention to details that others ignore. Coin collecting has never been only about value. It is about history, craftsmanship, discovery, and the excitement of never knowing what the next coin might reveal. Sometimes the greatest reward is simply uncovering a story that has remained hidden for decades. The 1985 Jefferson nickel reminds us that even an ordinary 5-cent coin can inspire generations of collectors to keep searching, learning, and preserving pieces of American history. As our journey through these remarkable nickels comes to a close, remember that fortunes are not found by assuming every coin is ordinary. They are found by those who take the time to look closely. Your next handful of change could contain a coin that tells an extraordinary story, and that possibility is what continues to make coin collecting one of the most exciting hobbies in the world.